Welcome to Faith Lessons. This is Dr. Scott Stripling, Provost at the Bible Seminary, and this is 1st and 2nd Samuel. 1st and 2nd Samuel were one book in the Hebrew Bible, but they're two books in the English Bible. It gives us the story of an important transitional period in Israel, bringing to a close the period of the Judges and introducing the period of the United Kingdom. And Samuel is the transitional figure because he's a judge, but he really plays an executive role as a prophet, and then is the one who's going to anoint the first two kings of Israel. The book opens with an amazing story that takes place at Shiloh, which was the center of Israelite life and worship for over 3 centuries. And a woman named Hannah comes, and in great desperation, she's crying out to God because she does not have a child. And God answers that prayer, and she completes her vow, and she gives Samuel to the Lord when he's old enough to be weaned, and then he's raised in the house of the Lord at Shiloh. Eli is the high priest at that time, and his sons Hophni and Phinehas unfortunately are wicked, and God is not pleased with this. And ultimately, there's going to be judgment that's going to come on Israel as a result of it, when the Ark of the Covenant will be sent away to the Battle of Aphek at Ebenezer, and ultimately captured by the Philistines there. And this will be a sad day where Eli himself will die, and then Samuel will transition into a new period of ministry and leadership in Israel. The story then begins to take on a very important significance. The nation doesn't look to God, but they look for political help. And they cry out to God for a king, and God tells them, okay, I'm going to give you a king, but you're going to be sorry that you got this. And so they get Saul. And in the natural, Saul looks like he's the perfect leader. He's tall, dark, and handsome. And in fact, we read in 1 Samuel 10:26 that there went with Saul a band of men whose hearts God had touched. And so there was such hope in the nation at this point for Saul, but unfortunately he makes a lot of bad choices, and ultimately the kingdom is taken away from him and is given to David. Now, Samuel anoints David also, even though he'd already anointed Saul earlier, to be Israel's king. And so the house of Saul and the house of David, or the tribe of Benjamin and the tribe of Judah, we see a bifurcation of the two. Ultimately, David marries the daughter of Saul. This is part of his prize for defeating Goliath in the battle of Elah. And so it's a political marriage between the house of David and the house of Saul. And later, when David becomes king over all Israel, he makes Jerusalem his headquarters, and Jerusalem is half in the tribe of Judah and half in the tribe of Benjamin. So it's a perfect compromise between these two powerful tribes in the early period of Israel. So as we see David getting stronger and stronger throughout 1 Samuel, the women have a very popular song that they like to sing, that Saul has slain his thousands, but David his 10,000s. And this does not bless Saul, of course. And so through his insanity, he tries to kill young David. Ultimately, Saul himself is killed along with his son Jonathan, and their bodies then are hung from the walls of Bet-shean. And this tragedy, when it reaches David's ears, he cries out, "Tell it not in Gath, and speak of it not in Ashkelon." In other words, not among the heathen, that the king of Israel is dead. And as we move into what we would recognize as 2 Samuel, we see the good, the bad, and the ugly of the reign of David. How Israel reaches its apex of strength and in power. David has a heart after God. He sets up a tent in Jerusalem where the Ark of the Covenant is, and we would call the Tabernacle of David. And a whole new order of praise and worship is entered into, and he demonstrates his heart after God. Sadly, he also has an adulterous affair with a woman named Bathsheba and tries to cover it up by having her husband Uriah killed at the Battle of Rabbah Ammon in Jordan. But being confronted by the prophet Nathan, David repents of this and turns back to God. And so we see within David the complexity of Israel, and really the complexity of our own nature, our proclivity towards sin, but ultimately how God looks to a man of a broken and a contrite spirit. And that's the story of 1st and 2nd Samuel.
Thanks for listening. Stay connected with us at thebibleseminary.org and subscribe to this podcast.